Okay, so this is one of the types of ratio questions that you can get. So I've just called it when you have one value. So you'll be given a ratio normally, and you'll be told that one person will be receiving this amount, whether it's money or sweets or whatever it says. And you then need to be able to work out then how much the other person got or how much they got in total. Now, just sort of to clarify, later on I will be doing ones where you've got to combine ratios together. So make sure that you've already watched one of my previous videos of how to do that. Okay, so starting with the first one. Now, again, if you're someone that doesn't particularly like words, which is definitely me, use a highlighter just to go through the bits that are important. So the names are sort of important, not necessarily the names, but actually the order of them. Okay, so Chris and James. So because Chris is first, that means that he's the first one for the two. So I'm just going to write that underneath. So I always write just their initials if I can. So Chris and James, and they've got the ratio of 2 to 3. So Chris is first, so he has the 2, and James is second. Okay. Because they wanted competition is irrelevant. They share an amount of money in the ratio. James receives £240. That's really important. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just underneath James, underneath the 3, I'm just going to write 240. Okay, because I know that's how much he got. So what I then need to do is work out what have they multiplied the 3 by to get to 240. Now, some people can just do that by looking, which is brilliant. If you can't, what you do is you do the 240 divided by their share in the ratio. So 240 divided by 3, which is 80. So they must have multiplied by 80. So that means that to work out what Chris got, you've also got to multiply his part of the ratio by 80. And we'll get 160. So his answer is £160. Okay. So then for part B, how much did they win in the competition? So to work out that, all we do is add both their amounts together. So 160 plus 240, which gives me £400. That's how much they won in that competition. Okay. So EG2, again, these are the sorts of ones that they give you now, obviously where the GCSE is a lot more wordy. So again, use a highlighter, work out what's important. So we're told that the ratio of children to adults is 2 to 3. So to start off with, I'm going to write that underneath the wordy part. So children to adults is the ratio of 2 to 3. Okay. There are 80 children in the crowd. So 80, I'm going to write underneath the children part. Okay. So this is actually involving some money afterwards. So we're told then each adult ticket is £8. Each children ticket is 1/4 of an adult ticket. Okay, and we need to work out the total money. So we know how many children there are, but we also need to know how many adults there are so that we can work out the cost that all the adults have paid. Okay, so we need to work out what would we multiply the 2 by to get to 80. Again, if you can do it in your head, fantastic. If you can't, we do the number of children divided by their part in their ratio, so 2, which gives us 40. So they must have multiplied by 40, which means you have to do the same with the adults. So 3 times 40 is 120. So there must have been 120 adults. Okay, so we can do the cost of those straight away. So for the adults, there were 120 of them. Each one of those people paid £8. So if we do 120 times 8, now you can use a calculator. So 120 times 8, 960. Okay, now we need to work out the cost of children. At the moment, it doesn't actually say what a child's ticket costs, but it does tell us this bit. It's a quarter of an adult ticket. So we need to find a quarter of £8. Okay, now if you can't remember how to find fractions of amounts, what you do is you do the amount, so 8, divided by the denominator, or the number on the bottom, to divide by 4, which is £2. Okay, if the number here was something not 1, okay, then you would multiply by that number. Because it's just 1, we can leave it like that, okay, because 1 times 2 won't change the answer. So this is the cost of a child. Okay, so to work out the total of all the children, so children, there were 80 of them, and their tickets were all £2 each. So £2 times that would give you 160. Okay, we obviously want the total. So what we then need to do is do the total for the adults, added together with the total of the children. So 960 plus 160. Okay, which gives us £1,120. So that is the final answer. Okay, so we're still doing the ratio part, but they're just involving more maths with it as well. Okay, so last one. So we've got the ratio of rabbits to cats is 3 to 4. The ratio of dogs to cats is 1 to 5. We're then told how many rabbits there are, how many dogs are there. So the first thing we notice is there are 2 separate ratios. Okay, so when you see that, every time you've just got to think, I'm likely going to have to make them 1 ratio rather than 2. Okay, now they've both got cats in both, so I want the cats to be in the middle of both the ratios. Okay, so by that I mean we've got rabbits and cats in the first one. So rabbits is 3 and cats is 4. Now for the second one, they've written dogs first, so I'll then write dogs and then cats, but the issue is I want the cats in the middle. Now you are allowed to switch ratios round, okay, so I can write it as cats first and then dogs, but just remember you will need to then switch the ratio over, okay, because at the moment the dogs is the first word, so that means it must be the first part of the ratio, so dogs is 1, okay, and then the second word was the cats, which is 5. So if you notice, my ratio switched round compared to the question. Okay, so just be careful that make sure everything's the right way around. Now to combine them, we need to make both these numbers the same. So what number does 4 and 5 both go into? They both go into 20. Okay, so to make the first ratio 20, we would have to times by 5. And to make this one 20, we multiply by 4. So 5 times 3 is 15. Oh, dodgy 5. And 1 times 4 gives us 4. Okay, so the main ratio, I'm just going to write it over here. So rabbits to cats to dogs. Rabbits is 15. Cats is 20. Okay, you don't add them together, you just leave it as the original number. And then 4. So we're then going to just do the second part. So I'm now at this part here, when we're told that there are 45 rabbits, okay? And we need to work out how many dogs there were. So again, similar to what I've been doing in the questions above, I'm going to write 45 under the rabbits. So I've got to think, what would I have to multiply 15 by to get to 45? Okay, which would be 3. Again, if you're not sure, just do 45 divided by 15, which gives you 3. Which means that all the rest we need to multiply by 3 as well. So 20 times 3 is 60. 4 times 3 is 12. We wanted how many dogs, so it's going to be this number here. So 12 dogs. Okay, and that's the final answer.